In our last video, we talked about two output streams. Now we're going to work with these in Python. The reason I'm doing this, because it's time to start moving away from the print command in Python. Print writes a line of output to standard output, but we can do that by ourselves. So let's go ahead and modify our primes program to no longer use print, but to use the correct output streams. So I have opened up primes.py and sublime.txt. And so we can access the standard output and standard error streams using the sys module. And so we've already imported sys in here. And so to write to standard output, the command is just sys.standardout.write. Okay, and to write to standard error, the command is sys.standarderror.write. That's a pain in the butt to type every time, so all my scripts, I end up putting this at the beginning where I can make an alias for these commands. So I can say out, capital out equals sys.standardout.write and capital error equals sys.standarderror.write. So now let's go down to where we actually use the print command in this script. Okay, and so the first thing we see is we had all this error checking, and you can see it's printing the errors to standard output. But you know what we said was standard error is the more appropriate place for the error messages. So I can just replace the print command with error, right? And that will write to standard error. And again, for this one, I'm going to write to standard error, and the third one I'm going to write to standard error. Okay, and so these are perfect spots to use this standard error output stream. Now, the one thing that we do have to change is that print automatically appends a new line character on all its lines. You don't have that when you're using the sys standard error write and standard out write. And so we have to add our own new line characters. And so those new line characters are actually just \n. So at the end of all your lines, you're going to have to add a \n. Well, that's a little bit of a pain. It's also kind of neat because you can add more blank lines by just adding extra \n. So if I want this error to sort of stand out a little bit, I can put some extra blank lines before and after my output. Okay, so I'll save this, and we'll go ahead and just run, right? I can just run primes from the command like this now. Okay, and so you see it wrote to standard error, you must provide one argument, okay? Which I didn't provide any arguments, which I got the error. And I can do the same thing here where I call primes, except I want to redirect into some output, and I want to send standard error to the same place. Okay, I get no output, but if I look at out, the file out, you can see that's where it redirected that error. Okay, and so the last line of the code is where we actually put the output of the program. And so again, instead of the print statement, I'm going to use the out statement. I'm going to print to standard output. Again, I'm going to go ahead and put a couple blank lines in here for the heck of it. I can go ahead and save it. And so I can go ahead and run primes. I'll just find the third prime number. Okay, and it said the third prime number is 5. Again, I could redirect these as much as I wanted. That's a really good way to handle your output out of Python. The real reason I don't want to use print for my quote-unquote normal operations in my script is I want to save it for troubleshooting and debugging. Okay, and so if I don't know what's going on, I can just add some quick print statements. Like if I'm just like, my script's not working, I need to see what n actually is, right? So I can just print n there. And again, that will write to standard output. But then once I figured out what's going on with my program, if I want to get rid of all this debugging stuff, now I can just find, I can use like the Control F to do a find of all the prints, and I can just easily get rid of all the debugging commands. But then my output I want to keep is still using these out commands. Okay, so now you know how to use the two output streams with Python. I know that's not directly applicable to problem 2 so much. That's definitely something you're going to need to know in the future when you're writing a program and you want to control how the output is flowing around in your program and how you interact with the user.